Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Techie Tuesdays. I'm your host and coach S. Ravi Kumar. Techie Tuesdays is a weekly series where I answer to your tech and career related queries. So if you want your question to be featured in Techie Tuesdays, you can DM me anywhere on any social media platform with hashtag Techie Tuesdays. And my social media handle everywhere is Techie Rathor. So if your question is featured in Techie Tuesdays, and you like my answer, then please subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, colleagues, or whomever you think can be benefited from this video. So without further ado, let's get started with today's questions. So today's first question is from Akash Goel. He is asking, I am earning more than 15 lakhs per annum with 8 years of experience in an IT company. Is it a good idea to switch to data science stream just for a better salary package? No, Akash, it's not a good idea to switch to data science stream just for a better salary package. It's a good idea if the data science stream is some way connected to your stream. Okay, but if it is not connected to your stream in any way, then it's not a good idea just for package, because anyway you won't be getting the higher package just by shifting to data science stream, because you already have 8 years of experience. And if you want to join the data science stream, probably you will be joining it as a fresher. Okay, so if your background is related to data science, then only move to data science stream. So for example, if you are a database administrator or you handle a lot of data and you know about queries and everything, so you have some basic grounds with statistics and mathematics. So if you have those backgrounds, then it is beneficial to move to data science, because not only it will give you higher salary, it will your previous experience will also be counted in that. But if you are, let's say, an application developer, okay, and then you want to move to data science as a programmer or as a data scientist, it will be a whole lot of work for you to learn everything from basics and all those things. So it will take time. So my suggestion would be go in data science only if it is related or a proper career progression as per your experience or as per your previous 8 years of experience. So if it adds to your previous experience, then surely go for it. If it doesn't add to your previous experience, then don't go for it. It's not a good idea. Next question is from Himanshu Kansal. He's asking, do software developers at Microsoft, Google and Samsung use MacBook for their development or their company's respective laptops? Himanshu, it's mostly depends on what kind of work the developer is doing. So let's talk about Microsoft. So in Microsoft, if someone is working on Windows related softwares or .NET Core related softwares, so they primarily work on Surface laptops. Usually every Microsoft employee gets Surface laptops and they have they work on that laptop. But apart from that, they also get Mac laptops if it is related to their work. So sometimes for testing purposes, even for development purposes or creating device drivers and all those things, Microsoft employees get Mac laptops also. I worked in Xamarin and I'm using Mac because Xamarin for developing Mac based application you require a Mac. So for doing Xamarin development and developing Mac based application using Xamarin, you require Mac. So even most of the Xamarin team earlier were using Macs. Now when Xamarin was acquired by Microsoft, all those team members got Windows machine, but some people still use Mac. So like Miguel de Casa, who is I think VP engineering in Visual Studio, he still uses Mac for his development apart from his Surface and all. James Montemagno was earlier using Mac, but then he moved to Surface. Right now he's using Surface Book. So there are many people in Microsoft who are using Mac laptops as well as Windows laptops like Surface. Now let's talk about Google. I don't have much idea about Google, but frankly speaking, I have seen them using like Windows laptops of different companies. Similarly with Samsung also, most of the time Samsung employees don't use Samsung laptops. They use either Windows laptops from other vendors who are kind of vendors to Samsung, or like Mac laptops if they are creating some device driver or something related to Mac. So it primarily depends on what kind of work that developer is doing. Next question is from Malapalli Shiva Prasad. He's asking, why do software developers not have access to production environments or databases? Shiva, the primary reason behind this is data security. Production data can be anything. It can be details of the users, SSN numbers, and other things. These are very sensitive data. And if developer has access to it, it might happen that during the course of development, they can corrupt the production data or delete the production data, which is again a very costly affair, to be very frank. That's the reason we have different environments set up, and developer has given access to only dev and QA environment so that he can just play around with whatever data he needs. Because sometimes if you have access to production data while doing the testing, you may put the production connection string directly on your code and then do the changes, and that may affect or corrupt or delete the data. So there are chances of like mistakes or data deletion or data corruption. So that's the primary reason that developers are not given access to the production environment. Next question is from Sachin J. He's asking, why most of IT companies don't hire undergraduate developers? Does big IT companies are actually hiring for certificates or skills? Don't they know that some undergraduate person can also have skills that can't be matched by any developers in their team? Sachin, these decisions are made by HR of that company, that which kind of person to hire, like not which kind probably, which professional degrees are required to work in that company. So they, at the time of their formulation or during their HR policy making, they make these policies. So these basically varies from company to company. It's not like that every company doesn't hire undergraduates. Some company do hire undergraduate, but some don't. Most of the IT MNCs don't. They hire graduates from certain colleges. So they have criteria as per their probably HR policies, I would say. And your statement that don't they know that some undergraduate person can also have skills that can't be matched by any developer in their team shows kind of an ego and negativity. Frankly speaking, if there is any such person, any such undergraduate person who has better qualities in than their team, that's company's loss. That's not that person's loss. And another thing, that if he is really that much capable, he would already be working somewhere at a good place. He doesn't have a grudge with like large IT companies that okay, they are not hiring him. So don't keep a grudge, frankly speaking. If you are not getting a job in a big IT company, but if you are working, earning well and living a happy life in a regular company, that's fine also. Next question is from Rakesh Ghanashala. He is asking, what are some high paying technological skills for 2020 and 2021? Rakesh, as per my internet search and the articles given by various agencies, the highest paying technological skills are primarily blockchain, cloud computing, big data, machine learning, Python, artificial intelligence, and data science. But my suggestion for you would be to first analyze your current strength and weaknesses and what all things matches with these technologies. For example, if you think that you are a good programmer and you know about Python, then of course you should go with Python. If you are a good programmer and you think that you are good also in maths and statistics, and you want to do or you want to learn machine learning, you want to solve a problem, you want to create an impact, then of course go with machine learning. So do what basically you like. It's basically you have to follow the Japanese concept of ikigai, where it said that you have to think about three things: what you love, what the world needs, and what the world can pay for you, like something like that. So you have to think on those grounds rather than just blindly following the highest paying skill, because after a certain age you will think that okay, I don't love my job, because it's not following your ikigai or ikigai or whatever your reason for being. So search about this word ikigai and understand, and then probably choose the skill which you want to go for. Next question is from Nilay. He's asking, is it worth doing an MBA from ISB if I am earning around 20 lakhs per annum as a software developer with 3 years of work experience? Nilay, ISB is surely the reputed institute in India for doing MBA. So is IAM. So why not IAM? Why is ISB only? So probably you need to calculate this worth all by yourself by identify the reasons of doing these things. So identify your why. Why do you want to do MBA from ISV? If you are able to find the cost of that why, then you will get the worth of that whether you should do it or not. Frankly speaking, I won't be able to better answer your question. My suggestion for you would be to calculate it that whether you have the money to spend on preparations for ISV or for paying to ISV for the MBA, and also you have to calculate that how much what would be the salary you will be getting after completing that MBA, and will it be in how much time will you get the ROI, and what are your long-term goals. So calculate all those things, and based on that, think about it. If you think that it is worth doing it, probably it's worth doing it from IIM also. So think about it. Next question is from Puneet Pasriza. He is asking, what is the future of ASP.NET Core comparison to different server-side languages? So Puneet, if you ask me, I would always say the future of ASP.NET Core is very bright in comparison to other server-side languages. So when we talk about other server-side languages, there is Node.js, there is I think Django from Python, I guess. I'm not sure about it, frankly speaking, but I know about Node.js. Then there is I think Java-based technologies, but ASP.NET Core has like the web applications written in ASP.NET Core are way much faster than these technologies. As per third-party surveys and third-party performance tests, web application developed using ASP.NET Core are much more faster. Also, ASP.NET Core is cross-platform. So earlier, like the like ASP.NET, the regular ASP.NET was not cross-platform. It used to work on Windows only. So people were worried that okay, they have to buy Windows Server license if they want to deploy ASP.NET Core application on production, and there was a lot of licensing and costing involved in that. But now, since ASP.NET Core is cross-platform, it can be hosted on Linux, it can even be hosted on containers. So it's much more it's well suited for futuristic development. So yes, the future of ASP.NET Core is pretty bright as compared to other server-side languages. So next question is from Moonshadow. He is asking, how do I develop a software for a wearable product? So Moonshadow, it primarily depends on which wearable product you are talking about. If you are talking about Apple Watch or Android, Android Tizen Watch, then I can suggest that you should go for Xamarin Forms, because Xamarin Forms supports, or Xamarin Native, I would say, because both Xamarin Xamarin Native as well as Xamarin Forms support. Xamarin Forms support Tizen mobile apps and Tizen TV apps also, and then Xamarin Native supports Apple Watch apps. So you need to because I know mostly about .NET technologies only, so I can suggest only that you should go with Xamarin or Xamarin Forms for developing wearable technologies, but primarily it depends on which wearable technology you are talking about. Most of the time, though, every wearable technology gives their own API to use for development. So you need to first tell us that which wearable technology you are talking about. But if you are talking about Apple Watch, then my suggestion would be to go with Xamarin. So next question is from Suresh. He's asking, do software developers and software engineers have separate roles? Suresh, software engineer is mostly used for people who have done engineering, like BTech degrees BTech in computer science. So software engineer is generally used for them. but in industry in general also software engineer is being used for everyone who is developing software. So there is no difference in software developer or software engineer role as such in companies. Even some companies don't use this role as a title. They don't use software developer or they don't use software engineer. Some use consultant, some use consultant developer. So basically it's just a name, but usually software developer or software engineer is like title or industry, or people call the person who is like writing program or developing software is being called as a software developer. It's just like calling every toothpaste in the world as Colgate, or we call all the computers in the world like, no, not all the computers. That would be a wrong analogy, I would say. But yes, for every search we call Google. For every web chat or web chat program nowadays we call it as Zoom call, even though we use WebEx or Skype or some other technology. So it's just a common term. Software developer or software engineer is a common term used for programmers, I would say, nowadays. Next question is from barbeats.com. Strange name. I want to start my own software company. So where do I get projects, as we are fresher in this? So how to reach clients and get projects? It seems like a company name. Barbeat seems like a company name. So I'll just say that what you should do. Frankly speaking, if you are talking about getting projects, which means you are planning to start a service-based startup. And when we talk about service-based startup, it's not good or it's not advisable for a fresher to start a service-based startup. So even still, if you want to start a service-based startup, my suggestion for you would be to talk to your relatives or your seniors that you want to develop softwares or provide software development services or applications for them, and then probably create some applications for them and get the projects. Like, that would be the way to go. Another way would be to create some open source application and then list it on the marketplaces. There are many marketplaces, like Evanto marketplace is there, or you can say on Upwork also you can post that we are looking for projects. You can register as a company on Upwork or freelance.com. But since you are a fresher, you need to showcase your capabilities. So the best way to showcase your capabilities would be to probably create some applications or some projects or some websites as samples and show it as a portfolio in your company's website. Then only people will come to you. But my suggestion for would be to first, like, start with some company, join a startup. I would say not a full-fledged startup, any small company, and learn about all the nitty-gritties of software development or getting project. Like, try to mingle with all the people in the company and try to learn more from them. Then go and start your own company. Next question is from Solo Traveler. He's asking, how do I switch to a mid-level managerial role after 11 years in IT with 3 years in cloud domain? Is there any relevant certification? So Solo Traveler, I think the only certification which comes into my mind is PMP, or Project Management Program, I guess. That's the full form. I think so. But yes, there is like mid-level managerial programs called the most popular one in the market currently is PMP. So my suggestion for you would be to probably talk to your manager that you are interested in a managerial role along with preparing for this PMP certification. And once you clear this certification, then of course you will know the nitty-gritties of people management, and then probably you can apply for the manager. So the very first one which comes into my mind is of course PMP. Then there are other certification also. I think there is Prince certification. I don't know the full form of that. And then there are some other certifications also. But the initial one to start with will be PMP. Next question is from Varun Sharma. He's asking, What is a skill that I can learn in 6 months that will help me land a job even without prior experience? Varun, in my opinion, the best skill you can learn in 6 months is experience. So I would suggest that probably join any company as an intern. So like whichever technology or whichever skill you want to learn, join a company which is working in that technology or skill as an intern and learn from there. Because even if you learn online or from any certification, you won't be able to understand the actual industry application of that particular skill. So whatever skill you want to develop, my suggestion would be to get an internship in that skill. So like I can talk about programming only. So you can say, let's say you want to learn blockchain development. So probably I think you could talk to your seniors or your peers or anyone you know on LinkedIn, that whoever is working on blockchain technologies, companies, probably talk to them for an internship or referral. There are many YouTube videos on how to get internship in a particular technology or a particular company. So you can probably talk to them for internship and then gain that skill. So I think the best skill to learn in 6 months would be uh, to gain an experience in that skill. Next question is from Shubham Pathania. He is asking, which backend web framework should I learn in 2020 for more job opportunities? Shubham, learn .NET, C Sharp, .NET, C Sharp. Okay, so if you ask me, I will surely say learn .NET, Web API, C Sharp. But practically speaking, you should basically learn the backend technology which you have already accustomed to. For example, if you are good in JavaScript, okay, then probably you should learn Django or some. There is another new, I think, new JavaScript server based technology. I don't know its name, so probably learn not Django. Sorry, Django is for Python people. If you are a JavaScript guy, probably you should learn Node.js. So Node.js is there. Then another new technology is coming up, which has, I think, some uh, Deno. Yeah, I think Deno. Deno is another technology. It's I think its icon is some socks or some serpent. I remember. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But yes, you should learn like Deno or Node.js if you are a JavaScript developer. If you are a Java developer, you should learn Spring Boot or like any other backend based Java technologies. If you are a .NET developer, then of course you should learn .NET Core. So it primarily depends on what is your primarily primary skill or currently in which skill you are working. So based on that, move to the backend technology. But if you ask me, if you are a fresher, then sure, learn C Sharp.net. Next question is from Sahil Chaudhary. He is asking, what new technology should I learn to get a job as a software engineer? I'm currently average at competitive programming. So Sahil, if you are already doing competitive programming, then my suggestion would be to apply for jobs in the language in which you are doing competitive programming. Let's say you are doing competitive programming in C++ or you are doing competitive programming in Python, then probably you should apply for like if you are doing competitive programming in Python, then you should apply for jobs related to Python in any company which is working in data science and machine learning or those kind of things. So probably you should need to prepare a bit about machine learning algorithms, and then you should move to that. But if you are using like C++, then I'm sorry, I don't have much idea about it. If you are doing competitive programming using C Sharp, then probably you should learn .NET technologies and how to use how to develop applications in .NET technologies, and then apply to the company which are in requirement of .NET developers, which are many, to be frank, which are many. So yes, so probably my suggestion would be, since you are already doing competitive programming, the technologies would be any language which you are doing competitive programming. So these were my answer to some of the tech and career related queries asked by you. I hope you liked this video, and if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends and colleagues. If you want your question to be featured in this video series, then you can DM me or ask on any social media platform with hashtag TechieTuesdays, and all my social media handles are Techie Rathor. So until next video, take care. Bye bye.